Hello, everybody, and welcome to our 100th episode of For the Fans
Yeah.
podcast. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick.
Oh,
That
yeah,
was,
that was.
I was like, that might be the best one I got, other than
You like that? You like
I will never get tired of Kirk Cousins.
Oh, fun stuff, man. But also, what a good episode to have the 100th episode on because, say, we basically just had full blown anarchy with several matchups this
Oh,
week.
everybody who does podcasts or anything regarding the NFL, every single person's like, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know who's good, who's bad. Everything is exploding. We don't know what's happening this year.
Absolutely. Well, and let's go over, basically where the playoff standings are right now going into this week. Now, granted, after this week, things might change and we may be able to get a bit of a better idea. But as of right now, it's a little crazy that as of right now, let's start with the AFC. You got the Ravens, Dolphins, who are looking pretty snug. They're looking pretty snug for their division titles. Then you have the Jaguars and the Chiefs, who, for the most part, almost seems like they're snug in their division titles. But the problem is you've got teams like the Texans, to some degree, and the Broncos definitely knocking on the door.
Hey, even the Colts are knocking on the door right now.
Exactly. And you have the Browns, who kind of look like they're aiming for the 5 seed, especially we see how things go with Joe Flacco here now as their starting QB. But then you have the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Indianapolis Colts, the Houston Texans, the Denver Broncos, the Buffalo Bills, and the Cincinnati Bengals, who all have a 7-6 record and are fighting for those last two playoff spots in the AFC.
It is brutal, that is for sure.
That's the AFC. Now let's go over to the NFC because it's not much better. You have the San Francisco 49ers, who look pretty snug in their division.
And they already clinched the playoffs, so they're
they have clinched the playoff. Yep, so the last thing now is just winning the division. And then you have the Cowboys and the Eagles, who are battling it out right now for the NFC East. As of right now, with last week's game, we have the Cowboys on top in the 2 seed. You have the Lions, who are looking fairly snug in the NFC North race, but that could get interesting here. And then for some weird reason, we now have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with a losing record at the top of their division. But then we have to talk about where things get interesting. 5 seed right now is to whichever NFC East team doesn't win the division.
Yep.
The 6 seed right now is to the Minnesota Vikings, who are 7-6, so just barely hanging on at 500, or just above 500. Then you have the Green Bay Packers, the Seattle Seahawks, the Los Angeles Rams, the New Orleans Saints, and the Atlanta Falcons, who are all 6-7, losing record, basically seeing if they could potentially vie for that last wild card play-in spot. And may I remind you one more thing, only one game behind those teams vying for that last spot are the New York Giants and the Chicago Bears.
Yep. Man. Oh boy, just looking at some of this, I'm just like, normally it's like, oh, these like 7 teams, oh, these are by far the best teams, but looking at it, it's just like, man, we have maybe like 3 teams that are like a top 5 team, and then everyone else is just a question mark.
Pretty much, and you only have a few teams that it's kind of like, okay, well, it's over, it's done, there ain't no way. I mean, 2 of them for sure, the Patriots and Panthers, they've been systematically eliminated from the playoff.
The Cardinals
of that,
are next on the list.
Yep, and then you have the Washington Commanders and the New York Jets, the Chargers and the Raiders are the only other ones that we haven't really named yet, I believe. And the Titans.
Yep.
Yep, that we're kind of like, it's not likely. Crazy for sure, and we need to get into some of that. Let's go over our injury report first. Again, as we always say, these aren't guarantees that they won't play, but they're definitely up there.
We got a long list again.
Yeah, all these are questionable. Marquise Brown, Dalton Kincaid. Kincaid probably one to keep an eye on with shoulder injury. Jamar Chase has an ankle injury, so things could fall to T. Higgins if he's not playing this week. Jerome Ford with wrist. C.J. Stroud is in concussion protocol. Nico Collins has a calf injury. Andre Cisco with a groin injury. Isaiah Pacheco is still questionable with a shoulder contusion. Josh Jacobs has a quad injury. Max Crosby has a knee injury. Keenan Allen has a heel injury. Tyreek Hill with his ankle injury that he got. last game. Justin Jefferson with his chest injury that he got last game. Alexander Madison with an ankle injury. Derek Carr still dealing with his shoulder. TJ Watt in concussion protocol. Najee Harris with a knee injury. Geno Smith with a shoulder injury. And another one on here that I saved for last. Zach Wilson is undisclosed right now, but it has been officially released that the Jets did talk to Zach Wilson, and they are fully planning on trading him at the end of this season. So is he questionable because they don't know what they're going to do with him just yet, or is it going to be the plan of they're going to let Zach Wilson ball out and see what they can get for him on the trade market in the offseason?
That's a long list, and thing is, we still have a few more people that we haven't even named.
Right, well, we have to talk about Jonathan Taylor. There's no official timetable yet as far as his thumb surgery, but we imagine that he will probably be back maybe even towards the end of the regular season and playoffs if the Colts make it. Another one, defensive-wise, Yannick Ngakoue, he has been relegated to injured reserve. He broke his ankle. And then the big one, Justin Herbert, season-ending surgery on his throwing hand, which now means we have yet another backup QB in Easton Stick stepping up to be the starter for the remainder of the Chargers season. That's another one, Shane.
Yeah,
Another one.
You laughed at me last week when I said that I bring up every single year that a lot of people are injured, but this one is... I feel like this year is especially bad.
Shout them off, especially for quarterbacks. We have, let's see. We've got, you have Aaron Rodgers, who's gone out. You've also had Zach Wilson and Tim Boyle start for the Jets. You've had this weird back and forth thing with Mac Jones and Bailey Zapp. Zappy, whatever it is. And then, we go to the AFC North. You got Pickett and Trubisky for the Steelers. You had Deshaun Watson, and then you had Dorian Thompson-Robinson and P.J. Walker, and now you have Joe Flacco. You have Jake Browning playing for Joe Burrow right now.
Bengals on their backup. Ravens have stayed healthy.
Yep. Okay. AFC West, Chiefs are fine. Broncos have been fine. Chargers are now down to where without Herbert, they've got Easton Stick. Raiders had Garoppolo, then they played Hoyer for one game. Now they've got Aiden O'Connell.
And they may go back to Garoppolo this week.
Yep, that one's weird. AFC South with C.J. Stroud, Davis Mills, they may have to play if Stroud's in concussion protocol. Will Levis has replaced Ryan Tannehill.
Trevor Lawrence did get injured, but he has played every game so far.
Yep. Gardner Minshew replaced Anthony Richardson. So there you go. That's the AFC South.
That's literally NFC, more than half of the AFC, I think.
Yeah. You go over to the NFC, and it's not much better. The NFC East, Dak and Jalen Hurts and Sam Howell have stayed pretty healthy, but you've had Daniel Jones, Tyrod Taylor, and Tommy DeVito for the Giants. And then NFC North, Jordan Love and Jared Goff have been good, but Tyson Bagent had to start a couple of games for Justin Fields. Kirk Cousins has been out, and you've had Jaren Hall and Josh Dobbs both start over him because of that.
Nick Mullins is the new starter for the Vikings.
We're thinking so. So there's another one.
No, they announced it today.
Oh, they did announce it? Okay, there you have it. It's official. Geno Smith has had his injury, so Drew Lock replaced him. Brock Purdy's been good. Matt Stafford mostly good, but he did have to have Brett Rypien play one game for him.
Didn't Justin Fields get injured? Did we mention that one?
Yeah, I mentioned Fields with Tyson Bagent.
Yep.
And then the Cardinals, before Kyler Murray's injury, you had Clayton Tune and Josh Dobbs, which really just takes us to the NFC South, where most of them have stayed healthy, but we've had a back and forth between Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke because of the Falcons quarterback controversy. That's a lot of backup.
Derek Carr, I think, went out too. Or Jameis Winston is coming in to replace Derek Carr at the moment.
Has not been official yet, though. So Derek Carr has been the starter. Yeah, Derek Carr has been the starter for every game, but he's been wildly unhealthy this season.
Bryce Young didn't get hurt this year. He's just been playing bad.
He did get hurt at one point, but it's kind of like Trevor Lawrence, not enough to go out.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence went out, but then he just came back 5 days later to play again.
Exactly. Here we go then. Let's talk about our Wows and the Wills. We got a couple of games to go over here for the past week. Some exciting matchups that... Okay, Shane, let me look at this really quickly here. Okay, I'm looking at our picks. 2 of them actually went the way that we had expected them to go last week. But 2 of them did not, and we did not expect that to happen in any way, shape, or form. So this should be good. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, so first one's going to be one of the ones that we did not expect to go this way, and that was the Texans versus Jets, where the Jets won 30-6. I mean, If I had to guess, it would have been a close-ish game, but the Texans got blown out, and part of the reason I think that was is because the Texans are dealing with a ton of injuries. They don't have Tank Dell. They had Nico Collins get injured. Like, half their offense is injured, and then CJ Stroud gets a concussion mid-game, so he's pulled out for the rest of the game. So they went from
You
being
have
one of the most dominant teams to losing some of their best pieces and are now struggling.
you didn't mention him either because he's on the defensive side, but Will Anderson, who was other
Oh, yeah.
top 5 pick this year, he went out with an injury too.
I forgot he went out too. But I mean, that's like 4 of your starting offensive pieces, and then one of your key defensive pieces that you just got this year.
Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things where it's like we can't really blame the Texans for only getting
No.
6 points. It sure made Zach Wilson look good, and it sure made the Jets look good. I'll tell you that.
Yep, Jets looked amazing. Jets have honestly been playing very, very well lately, where they were starting off very bad. People thought they were going to be like a top 5 pick. Now they may even push their way into the playoffs somehow.
I don't imagine it with the Jets, just
Oh, I
because
don't
you've got
imagine
so
it.
many of those. You've got so many of those teams that are clumped up there towards the top with
Yes.
7-6 record right now.
Yes, I'm not arguing that, but I'm saying they still have a fairly good chance. I was honestly expecting them to be eliminated at this point, like the Patriots are.
Yeah, I can see that, but I also think it does provide maybe a little bit of solace for the Jets, considering that you've got Aaron Rodgers, who may be coming back. Obviously, I know he's not going to come back during this year. You know what I mean?
I
But
have no
he'll
idea
come
at this
back next
point.
year. Maybe he stays healthier. The defense is still looking good. Maybe they can get some trade-in value from Zach Wilson. I'm trying to think what teams need a quarterback that's either a backup or a starter.
Uh,
Uh, teams that won't be
let's see
taking
here.
teams that won't be taking, in the top, in the top draft, trying to get Caleb Williams or Drake May.
I was like Raiders possibly.
Yeah, that's probably a good one.
I'm like Raiders don't really
Consider.
have a quarterback. Aiden O'Connell's not it. Jimmy G is not it.
Yeah.
I think Raiders might be the most prominent possibility.
If the Titans move on from Ryan Tannehill, I could see them picking up Zach Wilson.
To back up Will Levis.
Yeah,
I
pretty
can
much.
see it.
Yeah.
Falcons
Maybe the Commanders. Falcons, maybe. Commanders, maybe. Giants are going to try and take a quarterback in the draft. That's for sure.
I don't know. They got Tommy DeVito who's playing decently, so.
Tommy DeVito's playing decently, but I still feel like they're going to try
yeah.
and go for May or Williams.
I mean, I know the Patriots definitely want Williams or May, and looking like they'll get one of the two at this point.
Yeah, they have no choice. I think that's really probably about it. So yeah, maybe for Zach Wilson, it's kind of like what you mentioned. Raiders or Falcons are probably the top ones.
Yep. But that's all I gotta say for that one, because honestly, I think Zach Wilson's gonna play his heart out to try to get somewhere else and get a decent amount of money and possibly start somewhere else. Other than that, not much is gonna happen.
Oh yeah.
Now this other game that I have, we expected it to go kind of one way, but we didn't expect everything to happen. I have the Broncos versus Chargers, where the Broncos won 24-7. That's kind of in the ballpark I was thinking for the final score. I was thinking maybe 24-10, honestly, but it's close enough. And I think what possibly caused this to be so bad is, one, the Chargers have been horrible all year. I'm shocked they haven't fired Brandon Staley yet.
Sure, absolutely.
And now they lost their best player in Justin Herbert for the rest of the year.
Which doesn't, and here's something to add with that too, which I think will play also into our Thursday night football matchup tomorrow night. Because they are out with Herbert, there's Keenan Allen, I've been seeing, has been dealing with kind of a nagging injury throughout much of the season. I think they might start to lessen his load or even sit him for the remainder of the season, because what's the point? Either it's they want to keep him healthy, sign him for a new contract, or make him trade worthy. They don't want to risk him getting hurt any further when their season is already done without their starting quarterback and no chance of making the playoffs.
Yeah, but you're Brandon Staley. You're going to do everything to try and keep your job, so you'll put all your players in.
I don't know. I almost wonder if a call from upper management will negate that. Maybe they start. All I'm saying is I have Keenan Allen in one of my fantasy leagues.
Oh,
and
I do too. Sadly, it's in the leads that I made the playoffs with, and I'm just like, wow, there is nobody to replace all my injured people, and they all got injured this past week.
Yeah, well, we said the injury report. There was a lot of them.
Oh, I know, but I lost I'm down to Josh Dobbs as a quarterback right now that I had to drop to
Oh,
find
I am
someone
so
else.
sorry.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm so sorry.
yeah, I had 4 quarterbacks at one point, and they all died. So I'm like, oh, great. Here's Josh Dobbs. I'm like, okay, he had this one good week. Maybe it'll be okay. And then it's like 4 points, 5 points. I'm like, why does this hurt me?
Not even look at last week where they beat the Raiders 3-0.
Yeah. So now I have Jordan Love in basically all my leads, and I don't love it.
It's not great. It's not,
It could be better. It could be
it
much
definitely could be
much
better.
better.
Speaking of that, though, the Broncos are hoping that they could be in a better situation because obviously they got this win here, and with the Texans losing, it kind of helps them, knock down further and potentially making the playoffs. But for the wild card is where I'm going with this. But do they even need it? Because with the Chiefs losing and Patrick Mahomes throwing his fit and everything like that, you think the Broncos have a chance of maybe taking the division?
It's possible. Also, real quick, I just checked. Keenan Allen has been deemed out for Thursday.
There you have it. So even Brandon
Well, that kills
Staley.
me in so many leads. Okay, time to put Jerry Jeudy as the Nets man up.
Oh, well, yeah.
And don't worry, the second one is Jahan Dotson, and he was already starting.
That's pretty rough.
Yeah, yeah. Losing Joe Burrow and Tank Dell really hurt me this year.
Sure did.
I also
Man.
have Tyreek Hill, which I'm like, if Tyreek Hill goes down, I just lose in every league, no matter what.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Oh, it's fine. I was like, you know what? We'll just rebuild for next year.
Yep, that might be the way it is.
But yeah, but like you were saying, the Broncos have been looking good. They're one game behind the Chiefs, and honestly, the way the Chiefs have been playing, the way the Broncos have been playing, I can see the Broncos stealing the AFC West title.
It might happen because I really don't know what to make of the Chiefs this season. They kind of just I almost wonder if they got just too full of the spotlight, being the defending Super Bowl champions, having that Super Bowl hangover, having that young defense. Mahomes doesn't have any receivers to throw to, and it almost seems like Travis Kelce's taking a step back here because, as we've talked about, he seems like he has other things that he's focusing on more than football, that being his podcast and Taylor Swift. It doesn't bode well for the Chiefs and their overall standing right now with the Broncos getting so close. If it had been years past where all the other teams except for the Chiefs kind of looked like garbage, then it's fine. It's not a big deal. But that isn't the case this year because the Broncos have been getting hot after they had started so poorly. And
Mm-hmm.
now the Chiefs are just looked down upon as kind of a laughing stock, especially after the hissy fit Mahomes threw this past week.
And that's the one thing that I did want to bring up is that a lot of people are saying that Mahomes is now getting exposed for being a mediocre quarterback and is not as good as everyone thinks he is. I want your take on that because I look at the team and I'm just like, guys, this team is not a good team. He has one reliable receiver, and that's his tight end. His defense is young and not the best, and his offense is he has nobody to throw it to, and he can't play the entire game by himself. We saw him do that when it was the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers. That he was basically the only player on that team and couldn't do a single thing.
Yeah, my honest take on it, it's I think that talk about Mahomes being a mediocre quarterback is garbage. I think that take is super dumb. And the reason that I say that is because we've clearly seen that Mahomes can make excellent plays, whether with his arm or even with his legs, which he doesn't like to do. He makes those crazy no-look passes, and he clearly has the football IQ to go in there and play at a high level because you had Travis Kelce and I think Tyreek Hill on the team when Alex Smith was there, and they weren't winning. Okay, so Mahomes is still very, very good, but he definitely has to have the pieces around him. The same thing happened with Tom Brady. We had seasons where we were dogging on Brady, saying, "Oh, Brady's washed. Brady's horrible. He's not actually that good." Well, he can't. He is that good, but he's got to have the pieces around him in order to make that help
Yep.
and make that happen. But no, that take is garbage. Mahomes is really, really good. Mahomes is really, really good, but I don't really appreciate the whole hissy fit thing that he did with Josh Allen. I thought it definitely didn't make him look good
He
because,
immediately
yeah,
apologized after that, though. He said that he
I
got
know
caught
he
up in the
did, but,
moment
but,
and that he wishes
but
he behaved better. But yeah, it definitely looks bad.
it was offsides, Shane.
Oh no.
Tony was offsides.
I mean, it also didn't help that literally the next night on Monday Night Football, Tyreek Hill lined up and did the exact same thing and didn't get called for it.
That did not help. That's true.
People were just like, so when it's your right foot over the line, it's offsides, but it's when your left foot is over the line, you're fine.
Hey, man. Look, things happen all the time in the NBA, too, where they call a player for traveling, but they don't call it on LeBron James if he's traveling. I'm just
Yep.
saying.
Hey, I'm just saying, we talked about this many times, and I'm not going to linger on it, but I really want them to be able to challenge penalties called.
There needs to be some change in officiating, and I know they're starting to work on it. So maybe that does come with the ability to challenge penalties here in the future.
Especially because no player or coach can talk bad about officiating without receiving a hefty fine.
Yeah, which that part's obnoxious, I'll be honest.
Yeah, because that just
They should-
means the refs can do whatever they want and no one cares.
These players and these refs, I mean, these players are getting criticism from the media all the time, you know what I mean, along with the fans. And the refs, they should be able to deal with the same thing, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's jump over here into my picks, because they're interesting, too. We've got the first one, again, one we did not expect, and that was the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions, with the Bears winning 28-13.
Bears.
The Bears. So, I mean, okay, but here's the thing. The Bears, they looked good in this game. And a lot of that, one hand comes from the offensive side. Justin Fields, DJ Moore, they're playing well together. And then the defense looks like it's kind of woken up and started to be really, really good. And it might have saved Matt Eberflus his job. They might get rid of the offensive coordinator, but they might keep Flus around just because he's making really good defensive calls that are helping them stay in the game. I wouldn't be surprised, obviously, that the team still misses out on the playoffs. In fact, I'd be very surprised if they did make it.
Yeah.
But I do think that there's a bright future for the Bears when you see games like this. I hope it really does get in the head of most people, specifically in Bears management, that, oh, yeah, we're not moving on from Justin Fields. He can be the guy. Let's get the pieces around him.
Let's grab Marvin Harrison Jr. and not Caleb Williams or Drake May.
Exactly, because that's because we talk about all the time. If you don't put the pieces around Caleb Williams, he's going to do the same thing as Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So that's my take on the Bears. The Lions is a little bit more of the struggle here because the Lions have been having trouble against their division opponents. They dropped one to the Packers on Thanksgiving, and now they've dropped one on the Bears. And a lot of it kind of comes from Jared Goff just not playing well. He threw 2 picks. And he's lost fumbles in those 2 games that I mentioned
he's
here.
starting to regress a little bit.
Exactly, and I feel like because of that, it does definitely take down the entire integrity of the rest of the team. You notice too that David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs didn't really have good games either as a result.
Yep.
I wonder though if maybe there's a change of approach there, where maybe he's a little bit more conservative with his play. I know that Goff was getting a little excited there with players like Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Hopefully he can still make those good plays, but I almost wonder if maybe they do need to turn this a bit more over to the strength of the run game and what the O-line can do blocking for these 2 running backs that essentially keeps the Lions out of danger in their own division.
Yeah, I agree, because we've seen when the Lions stick to their run game and push it a little bit, their run game really, really just expands their offense by numerous amounts.
I think that will be the difference maker for the Lions because, look, it's definitely, out of all the teams that are kind of the front runner for the divisions in the NFC, obviously the one that is most in danger right now is whoever claims the NFC South round because they're all matched and they're all whole. But the NFC North, there's some concern there too because technically, as what we mentioned earlier, all 4 teams are technically still in it. Now, maybe not quite to the level that, the Lions have enough of a little bit of an arm's length to keep hold of the division title, but not if they keep dropping games like this. You've got the Vikings in the 6th seed right now. You've got the Packers clinging onto the 7th seed, and the Bears only 1 game behind them. So the Lions have to make those changes here soon, or otherwise one of their other teams might close in on them.
And surprisingly enough, I don't think it's going to be the Vikings. I think it may be the Packers somehow.
I guess would be the Packers because I see the Vikings definitely regressing right now too. Justin
Yep.
Jefferson's injury doesn't help. Alexander Madison's injury doesn't help. The quarterback issue certainly doesn't help because it ain't Josh Dobbs. Let's just call it like it is. He's no better than Jaron Hill or Nick Mullins or whoever it is that they're.
They
What was that?
need
Sorry.
Kirk.
Yeah, exactly. And I hope this inspires the Vikings faithful to be like, oh, Kirk Cousins really was good. You know what I mean? Because he was.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Eagles and Cowboys. That's the other game that we need to talk about here. With the Cowboys winning 33-13, and Shane, we both called this. We both said that the Cowboys were going to win this because the Eagles looked like they were regressing a little bit, especially on the offensive side. And the Dallas Cowboys defense made it tough for Jalen Hurts in the offense. Couldn't string together a proper play. Jalen Hurts lost that fumble. We know the defense is good, but there's a lot of talk right now about Dak Prescott potentially being the MVP. What are your thoughts on that?
Honestly, I think if we were to have any year that a quarterback wasn't going to be the MVP, I think it would have to be this year, and I think we would have to go with either Tyreek Hill or Christian McCaffrey. Dak Prescott, yes, he has been playing well, but I don't think is worthy of stamping the MVP statement on it.
I think it'd be the same situation here with, say, Josh Allen or Tua Tagovailoa or Jalen Hurts. Or even Brock Purdy. There's a lot of strength coming in the team. Do we really want to pin it all on the QB? You know what I mean?
Because the
And
QB is
so,
getting
and
that
so
many opportunities because of their defense.
yes, exactly. And I say, Dak Prescott, yeah, he's balling right now. Don't mistake me on that. But the thing is Jalen Hurts has been balling for most of the season too. Brock Purdy's been balling. Tua's been
Tua's
up and
been doing
down.
okay.
Josh Allen has had his interception problems like that. Or Lamar Jackson's another one to throw in there too, who's been balling. They've all been good. So what sets apart each of one of them from the rest of them? To me, I don't really see how Dak is better than all the rest of those quarterbacks we've named. It's different with, say, Tyreek Hill or Christian McCaffrey, where it's very clear how they are the X factor for their team. McCaffrey with his, the streak that he had with scoring a touchdown a game, and Tyreek Hill for the fact that Tyreek Hill was the X factor for the Dolphins. We saw what happened this week when he went out with the injury. It almost seemed, especially for Tua, that Tua couldn't play without Tyreek.
Yep. Crazy
I think
times.
because of that, I don't want to say Dak Prescott is fully worthy of the MVP yet, but I'm not saying it's impossible. You got CeeDee Lamb too is another one. Is he worthy of the Offensive Player of the Year? Maybe, but then at the same time, if you have to give the MVP to a quarterback, then you have to give the Offensive Player of the Year award to Tyreek Hill or Christian McCaffrey before you give it to CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
Another thing too is the Eagles. They missed their chance to win their division in that game, and now they have dropped. They've dropped to the 5 seed now in NFC standings. The Cowboys leapfrogged them. So, do you think that they can rebound after these 2 straight losses to tough opponents? En route to the coming playoffs.
I think it's possible because they have a fairly easy schedule for the rest of the year. But I mean, the Cowboys honestly are looking like one of the top 3 teams, and they're not number 3, and that's the scary thing, is that the Cowboys look like one of the better teams, and I think what's going to come down to is the end of the year schedule, whereas I feel like the Eagles have a cakewalk of a schedule, where the Cowboys, Cowboys are going to have the Bills, the Dolphins, the Lions, and then the Commanders. 3 of those teams are scrappy and looking like they're going to be in the playoffs, whereas the Eagles, they have the Seahawks, the Giants, the Cardinals, and the Giants again. I don't know if any of those teams are making the playoffs, so
that's a big one. But mark my words with that, though, Shane, because you're just talking about regular season. I'm going to call it right now. The Philadelphia Eagles, with this roster, the situation that it is, no matter what they've done, beginning season, mid-season, end of the season here, they will not be returning to the Super Bowl.
Oh, I agree. I think everybody currently has the Super Bowl favorites, and I'm going to be a little disappointed if it actually turns out to be that these 2 teams in the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. I will be honest with you. I mean, obviously, we have our pick for the NFC. We think it's going to be the 49ers. But as far as how the Eagles fall in the playoffs, I think the Niners could handle it, no problem. We know that. I think the Cowboys could thump them, no problem. I also think the Lions could get it done.
After that, though, kind of nothing. And the nice thing is, the Eagles, if they hold on to that 5 seed, they're gonna be facing someone in the NFC South.
Yes, they will definitely win their wild card game. That's for sure.
I would be shocked if they didn't.
Oh yeah. Oh God, could you imagine the Eagles listening to the Saints or the Bucks or the Falcons? Oh my goodness, there would be bedlam in the NFC South.
Philly
Oh,
will riot
man.
for evil instead of good this time.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, that's our trials and the woes. Let's move into our trending up and trending down. Who do we got for trending up teams this week?
I kind of want to put the Bears there.
Yeah, I would say so.
I think winning against the Lions this past week proved that the Bears can move their way up, and that they are looking pretty good.
For sure. Another one too. I think we have to give the Giants their flowers with this recent game against the Packers.
Yeah. And as Packers fans will say, why'd it have to be the Giants? They really don't like the Giants.
Yeah.
I will say, for
Great.
this last one, I think I have to put the Browns up there.
Yeah, I can agree with that. They're definitely showing that with Flacco and despite the other injuries that they've had, they're still very much in contention for a wild card spot.
Their
think-
defense is
I
one of
think
the top defenses in the league right now. I would say they're top 5 easily.
And they're I think they're a little too far out from getting a shot at their division, their division title. I think the Ravens are a little too far ahead for that, but I think it's perfectly possible that they can, that they can make the wild card.
Yep. Trending down.
Seahawks,
Okay.
big one.
Wow, I can't spell. Seahawks. Okay. Any reason why?
Well, I mean, losing to the Niners again and now dropping 6-7, even past the Rams now. They have the same record as the Rams, but the Rams are the tiebreaker. It's not looking good for a team that at one point we were saying, oh, yeah, they'll lock up the wild card, no problem. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I think I have to put the Texans on here just because of the CJ Stroud injury.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's going to hurt their season a lot, but that isn't saying they're a bad team. I think they're a solid team, but when you lose so many of your strong pieces, I think we have to put them down here because for the next week or two, you guys are going to be going down a little bit.
I think so.
All right. Last one.
Like, who do I really want to pick here? Oh, yeah, obvious. Chiefs.
Yep. Chiefs are looking rough.
Yeah. Okay. And that is that for our trending up and trending down. Let's go into our upcoming matchups. Thursday Night Football tomorrow night, we've got the Chargers running with Easton Stick for the first time against the Las Vegas Raiders, who are without Josh Jacobs and are also going over their quarterback change. But with that being said, given the situation with the Chargers, we're both going with the Raiders here.
Also, is Jacobs out, or is he just questionable right now?
He's just questionable, but also Devontae Adams is also questionable with an illness.
Oh, boy.
So it's tough. If Adams is good enough to play, he's definitely my matchup monster.
Yeah, it's going to be whoever's healthy at this point.
Sure. Well, that's the whole reason we have a backup quarterback on the Chargers side.
Yep.
Bengals and Vikings. Oh, it's a Saturday game too. We got a couple Saturday games this week too.
I did not recognize that first.
Yep. We got our Saturday morning game, which is the Bengals and the Vikings. We got the Bengals winning. And Shane, I think I have to go with Jake Browning as the matchup monster.
Oh yeah, he's been doing very well, and honestly, I think he can make a case for himself to be traded somewhere else to become a starter, possibly.
Potentially. I feel like he does better as a certified backup.
Oh,
Kind
yeah.
of like Chad Henne was for the Chiefs for a long time. But still, definitely makes himself look good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would definitely, let me say this. I would definitely, if we're considering AFC North quarterbacks, I would not take him over Lamar Jackson or Joe Burrow. And probably, if you put me to it, probably not Deshaun Watson either. But all of the other Browns quarterbacks, I would take him over, and I would take him over Kenny Pickett or Mitch Trubisky.
Yep.
For the Steelers.
I'm also gonna say Joe Mixon is my matchup monster.
Yeah, and if he's going to be able to have what he, to do what he did
Yep.
in the last game, yeah, for sure.
Next up, we got the
Hey.
Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Colts.
We've got the Colts winning this one. Well, I mean, if you got Trubisky as your starting quarterback and you got Najee Harris and T.J. Watt, you have nothing. Colts win this game. Matchup monster, give me Michael Pittman.
Oh,
Gardner
man.
Minshew has made a good connection with him there, and I feel like that's going to be utilized a lot in this game.
Minshew magic, baby!
Hey, Broncos and Lions. We're saying the Lions rebound here and make things a little tougher for the Broncos to inch their way into the playoffs for the division title. Lions win. Jahmyr Gibbs, matchup monster.
Yeah, I like Gibbs. I think I'm gonna go with St. Brown. I will
That's
say.
with the hope that if it's St. Brown, then Goff has got to play better.
Yep. I will say this. I expect the Broncos to give the Lions a fight, and if the Lions aren't prepared for this, I think the Broncos could easily win it.
And my biggest concern is why the Broncos could win this is the Broncos love red zone interceptions, and Goff seems definitely the type of QB that would do that.
Yep.
Which makes me nervous because I've got it starting in one of my leagues. I have to because
who
I
else
don't.
are you gonna start at this point?
Well, my problem is my only other quarterback that I could start in that league is Tua, and I'm scared to start Tua without Tyreek, and also the fact that they're playing the Jets, and the Jets' defense is pretty good.
Here are the available quarterbacks in my league. That's a one quarterback starting league. You got Geno Smith, Nick Mullins, Will Levis, Tommy DeVito, and Easton Stick as the top 5.
Wow.
It is bad out there.
It sure is.
To think I started the year with 3 quarterbacks. I started with Joe Burrow, I had CJ Stroud, and I think I had a third one just in case anyone got injured. And Burrow's dead, CJ Stroud is on concussion, so now I'm like, great, I have no one.
Womp womp.
Ugh. It's so bad. Anyways.
Yeah. Okay. We've got the Giants and the Saints, and we disagree on this one. You think the Giants with Tommy DeVito will be able to upset this, or will be able to beat the Saints?
Yeah, can't go wrong with the Mafia boss, man.
Sure, right?
I mean,
still
people
think I have
even
the
show
same.
like a picture of him and his agent. His agent is like fully dressed up like a Mafia member.
Oh, I know. I saw it. I was like, what the
It's times like this
Yeah.
where I'm like, I love the NFL.
Oh, it's crazy. It's a better love. There's a better love story between Tommy DeVito and his agent than Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift.
Oh boy. Apparently, there's been like a rumor going around that Taylor Swift has now moved in with Travis Kelce and he might propose to her soon.
I don't care.
I would just be shocked because I'm like, wow, Taylor Swift actually held down a man for once.
I don't care.
Hey, look on the bright side. If she gets married, we won't have to hear any more of her breakup songs.
Until they get divorced.
Ugh, don't say that.
Saints win this game. Chris Olave, matchup monster.
Yeah, I don't really have anybody for the Giants other than maybe DeVito because he seems to be the bright spot right now, but yeah.
Yeah. Bears and Browns, we've got the Browns winning it. They're able to hold their own. Matchup monster in this game, though. I'm going to say Joe Flacco plays well against that Bears defense, which is kind of looking like they're having a surge here. Then, yeah, Browns got it in the bag. I will say this, though. I could put Myles Garrett on there, though, just because I feel like he's going to make Justin Fields' life a living hell on Sunday.
I am putting down Myles Garrett for the main reason is that Justin Fields, I think, is one of the better quarterbacks at escaping pressure, but this Brown defense is also one of the best at getting to the quarterback, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top in that fight with each other.
Well, and keep in mind too that when Fields had his first ever NFL start, it was against the Browns, and Myles Garrett was a nightmare for Fields in that game. Okay, Falcons and Panthers got the Falcons winning this game. Matchup monster. Go ahead and give me
Kyle Pitts.
Hey, same wavelength.
Surprisingly, he's actually been doing well right now.
I know. Tell me about it.
Also, with the Falcons winning, that may secure the Bears the number 1 overall pick.
Yes, that is true. Okay, Buccaneers and Packers. We've got the Packers winning it, although I think it's going to be close. Packers winning this game. I feel like you have to give me Jordan Love as the matchup monster here. If he plays well, it's over. If he doesn't, well, then I think the Buccaneers got this.
Yeah, I would say Jordan Love is the X factor of this game where everything is going to hinge on him. Whether the Packers win and do great, on him. If the Packers do horrible and lose, it's all on him.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Jets and Dolphins. We're picking the Dolphins to win this to rebound from their loss to the Titans, but the matchup monster here, I got to go with Raheem Mostert over because Devon Achane is dealing with another injury again. They may limit his workload. You got Tyreek Hill, the concerns there. And Tua's not really passing to Jalen Waddle very much. So, yeah, give me Mostert.
Not anymore, and Dolphins starting to get banged up. Everything that you said, yeah.
Yep. Chiefs and Patriots. Chiefs obviously get the win on this one. I don't really know who I want to go with the matchup monster on this. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco if he's back enough to play. If not, Jerick McKinnon.
Oh, see, I'm going to say Rashee Rice.
Maybe.
He's coming out as like the number 1 receiver after Travis Kelce on that team.
You know what? Why don't we just at this point just say that the matchup monster is going to be Harrison Butker?
Why not?
It's perfectly possible.
Oh, man.
Okay, we've got the Texans and the Titans next. Now, you're saying the Texans win if Stroud plays, which I agree with, but I think he's still going to be in protocol, so I say the Titans win it, and their matchup monster will be Derrick Henry.
See, I'm not going to go with Derrick Henry. I'm going to go with his backup. What was his name? Tajay Sharp, I believe? Spears?
Spears?
I knew it started with a S. That's all I remember. I knew it was Tajay something.
Yeah.
Alright. Now gosh, this one's going to be a slaughter.
Oh, God.
I feel bad about this one.
Bad. This one's bad. The Cardinals and the 49ers.
I'm sorry, Cardinals fans. Look away.
Yeah, 49ers win this one. Matchup monster, literally anyone. Anyone on the 49ers team is a matchup monster in this one. It doesn't matter who it is.
I'm just saying everyone. It's just the whole team.
Yeah, it's a whole monster team.
The defense is going to destroy the offense. The offense is just going to run right over the Cardinals defense. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, sure.
Normally I'm like, oh yeah, since this is a divisional matchup, I'm like, nah, not this time. This time the 49ers are just going to steamroll the Cardinals. It's not going to matter if it's a divisional opponent.
Yep, I agree.
Oh boy.
All right, Commanders and Rams. Okay, we have the Rams winning this game. Obviously, Rams matchup monster. I got to go with Matthew Stafford. He's been playing actually pretty well lately, and I feel like we need to, recognize.
Yeah,
that.
we need to give him his credit.
Yep.
I might say a second one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he is on the Rams. Kyren Williams.
Yes, he is.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it was Kyren Williams. I was confusing it with the Lions for a moment because of the whole Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford whole shenanigan.
Yeah, and who's that? Sometimes I get Kyren Williams mixed up with what's his name? He's one of the running backs for the Eagles. It's not DeAndre Swift. Who's the other one?
Kenneth Gainwell?
Yes, Gainwell. For some reason, I always get Kyren Williams and Kenneth Gainwell mixed up.
Ugh. Okay. Anyways.
Okay. Cowboys and Bills, we're saying the Cowboys do win this one, which I think is perfectly possible. You
Yeah.
got the Bills defense kind of banged up. Josh Allen throws picks, and Deron Bland loves picks. So that's why I say Deron Bland is the matchup monster for this one.
I'm gonna say Josh Allen is the matchup monster for the Cowboys.
For the Cowboys, yes! Yes! I love it.
I feel like we haven't done that kind of joke in a long time, so there it is.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was good.
Uh,
All right. Baltimore Ravens and Jacksonville Jaguars. We are agreeing that the Ravens win this matchup, and the matchup monster. Man, Shane, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go with Odell Beckham Jr.
oh, he had a great game this last week.
Yeah, and I think he might be able to do it again. We'll see. I don't know.
I think
The
I
Jaguars
gotta
defense is
stick
what
with
makes
Zay
me concerned.
Flowers.
Yeah, the Jaguars defense is why I think it's possible for OBJ.
Jaguars defense is dead. Like, it was literally like 4 cornerbacks are out or 2 safeties are out. I'm like, wow, that defense is like on life support.
You have no secondary. No secondary.
Our secondary's injured.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You have no secondary. It's gone. It's dead.
And then Trevor Lawrence loses his best receiver in Christian Kirk. Calvin Ridley doesn't try on every play. Zay Jones dropped everything.
Calvin Ridley might not even get re-signed this next year.
Honestly, I
like.
kind of don't want to re-sign him. I'd rather let him walk, draft a wide receiver, and then buff up our offensive and defensive line, and then I'll be happy for next year.
Yep, that's a fair point.
Ugh.
Okay, and our Monday Night Football, the Eagles and the Seahawks. The Eagles rebound and they get the win. Matchup monster in that game. Give me DeAndre Swift.
You know, I feel like he's been very quiet lately, which is why I'm expecting him to pop off. I'm gonna say Devontae Smith.
Okay, yeah.
He's been
I feel
very
like
quiet lately.
I feel like as of late he's been louder than AJ Brown.
Well, yeah, because at first he was getting all the passes and targets. Then AJ Brown complained, and then AJ Brown started getting all the targets. And now Devontae Smith isn't getting that much, and he's like, "Yo, pass me the ball too."
Yeah. Seems what it's like.
Now R for the fun.
This is interesting. I mean, a lot of it we agree with, but some of them we need to have discussion about within the 15 minutes that we have left. It is our annual Who Got Next, which is when we talk about the divisional winners for next year and how we're what we think it's gonna shape up to be based off of this season, what could happen here in the future, or those sort of things. So let's kick it off here as we always do with the AFC East, and we agree with this one, Shane. It's the Miami Dolphins. And the reason that we've been saying this is, one, we don't really have faith in the whole Aaron Rodgers becoming the long-term viable option that gets the Jets to the Super Bowl or as a contender. And the Bills seem like they're on the decline right
The Patriots
now.
are in a rebuild.
Exactly. So it's definitely the Dolphins.
Yep.
Okay. The AFC North, this one gets interesting because I'm still saying it is the Cincinnati Bengals, whereas you believe the Baltimore Ravens will be at the top next year.
This one I will say is a toss-up.
Mm-hmm.
But with this also said, T. Higgins is expected to be on a contract year this year, and he may be let go and become a free agent somewhere, which that's going to give Jamar Chase a lot more focus because as much as people are like, oh, T. Higgins doesn't really matter all that much, he's a very, very good wide receiver number 2 on the Bengals, where he could go to another team and probably become the wide receiver number 1 on, I would say, about half the teams right now.
You know, that's a fair point. That is a fair point.
And then Joe Mixon, he took a pay cut, but who knows how long he'll stick around. Joe Burrow's going to be recovering from an injury.
You know, and here's the thing. Even with Joe Burrow coming back from his injury, I believe he's going to have enough time to be able to still play at a high level. They still got Mixon. They're keeping him around again. I think the Bengals defense is good enough. The biggest concern is the O-line. And I hope with Joe Burrow getting hurt again, they recognize, wow, we really need to make some changes there with the O-line. They beef it up kind of the way they did with the Lions O-line this last season. And that returns the Bengals to prowess. Because at the end, really what I see is Joe Burrow with what he's able to do with his team, I trust it a little bit more than what Lamar Jackson's able to do with his.
Now, I will say, it's going to be a battle between these two teams for the AFC North.
Yeah, I mean the Browns could make some noise in there, but I feel like Deshaun Watson is not what he used to be before his injuries and everything
And the
else.
whole
What
scandal.
happened? So, and I believe that's going to be the thing that will continue to hold the Browns back.
Yep. So let's move over to the AFC West, where this one's going to be a very interesting discussion.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I still say the Chiefs get it for one more year. I don't believe they're on the up and up anymore. I don't believe they are going to stay in a dynasty like for as long as the Patriots did. But I do believe they'll still be at the top for one more year. Whereas you believe it is time for the Broncos country to ride once more.
I mean, I'm not saying those exact words, but here's my thing. The Chargers have fallen off, and they've fallen off harder than I think anybody expected them to. The Chargers went to the playoffs last year and looked poised to win the wild card. To now, they could be eliminated in the next week or two, looking really bad. Honestly, the Broncos are starting to come back. Sean Payton's turning this team around. I feel like the Broncos could get more key pieces in this draft, whereas the Chiefs, I like the Chiefs. I like Patrick Mahomes. I like everything about all of that going on. I don't know how much longer Travis Kelce has left in the league, and if Travis Kelce decides to retire this offseason and they don't address any of their actual weapons, Patrick Mahomes is kind of going to be playing offense by himself at that point.
Yeah, but Kelsey's not going to retire during this.
I don't know. I've heard so many rumors of like, oh, he's going to retire, and it's like, oh, he decided he's going to play another season or two, and I'm just like,
And see, the thing is what you've been reading, believe it or not, because I remember when you brought this up a couple of weeks ago, and I
Right.
did want to address it if it ever got brought up again, where you were talking about you were saying that Travis Kelce was saying, "Oh, I'm each day I think I'm getting closer to retirement or something like that." You mentioned that quote or something like
Yeah.
that. That was Jason.
Oh. I thought I
Yeah.
heard Travis say it too.
Yeah, I looked it up. It was
Gotcha.
Jason.
Now, I will say, I could possibly see Travis and Jason retiring at the same time.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
is why I'm
that's
like,
possible.
if Jason retires in the next season, then Travis may be like, you know what? I'm going to retire with my brother, and we're going to go do our very successful podcast and do other activities outside of or outside of the NFL that we really, really want to do.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, where were you? We're on the AFC South now.
Yeah, because I think AFC West we've covered it. Broncos could be good enough. I don't think it's impossible, but I think the Chiefs might
Yeah.
still have one more year. I think that's the best way to just settle it.
So let's move on to the AFC South, where we are both saying the Houston Texans will win the AFC South next year.
If there's enough recovery time that is going to occur for our friends like Tank Dell and basically making sure everyone else is healthy too, it's a very dynamic team and a team that can do really well and continue to do well as they build up and get ready. And CJ Stroud's the guy. That's for
yeah,
sure.
I was like, CJ Stroud's the guy. They got good offensive pieces. They can easily use the draft and free agency to grab a lot of needs that they will have. And the Texans team was already looking very strong this year until injuries hit them. Just imagine what this team could do next year. And honestly, what I think is going to happen for at least the next 5 or so years is that the Jaguars and the Texans are going to be trading back and forth for the AFC South title.
Yeah, I would definitely get on board with that theory.
I will say, it'll be fun matchups to see all the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Trying to figure out who's really going to be coming out on top.
Yeah. It's not going to be... I don't want to knock the Colts out completely out of the conversation yet, just because we haven't seen what Anthony Richardson can really do yet.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I will say, I think the Titans are the last place team.
Yes.
All right. NFC East. We do differ on this one. I'm saying the Dallas Cowboys are going to have it, and you're going to say the Philadelphia Eagles.
I have to say Eagles because I still feel like the tank is not empty there. And it's the Cowboys, man. It's never their year. No.
Well, hey, remember a while back, they won they won a playoff bye. They got through their bye week, went to go into their division or into their not the divisional round, and then they immediately lost and got embarrassed.
Yeah, which I think could certainly happen again.
I
But
think
I
it will
also still
happen
feel
again.
I still feel like this defense and the way that it's looking, it is better than it has been in the past. But it is only a matter of time before we start to see Dak regress.
Yes, I would.
Because
Yeah,
I'm almost wondering if this year is a fluke year.
yeah.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and yeah, then the Cowboys will definitely win next year. But yeah, that's just my belief on that. Whereas I feel like the Eagles are still capable of playing at that high level with Jalen Hurts.
Mhm.
So that's where I stand by with that.
And you did say that they have a little bit left on in the tank, which I do agree with. But that tank is running empty, and it is running fast.
Yeah.
Because I think they have one of the oldest offensive lines in the league right now.
Yeah, it's not young. That's for sure.
It's Jason Kelsey is getting up there in age. I think it's what Lane Johnson is getting up there.
Jordan Minalta, I feel like is kind of getting older too.
Here, oh, please don't. Okay, let's see here. So they got Jordan Minalta. Oh gosh, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey, Cam Jurgens, and Lane Johnson. Let's see here. So left tackle, left tackle is pretty young. Jordan Malata, he's only 26, so he still has a lot of time. Landon Dickerson, left guard, he's 25, so he's still pretty young.
So what we're saying is there's still an opportunity there, but definitely some reevaluation, especially if they're not able to make it back to the Super Bowl this season.
Yeah, let's see. Lane Johnson, he's 33, he's getting up there. Kelsey, 36, getting up there. And I think they just moved Jurgens into right guard, and he is a very, very young guy. I think he's in his second year, and he is 24. Okay.
Well, there you have it then.
Yeah, let's move on to the NFC North, which this one we do agree on. We have the Detroit Lions winning it.
I think they've got an opportunity to win it again next year. I think that the Packers are finding a long-term starter in Jordan Love, but they've got work to do. Vikings have to figure out what they're doing with some parts of their roster, and the Bears may be on the up and up too. But I feel like because the Lions already seem like they've got it figured out, they'll be able to hold on to it.
Yeah, Vikings need to figure out what they're going to do with Kirk Chains. The Bears, I will say, I think next year might be the last year of their rebuild until they're very heavily competing.
Yeah.
Get Marvin Harrison Jr. and that team's going to turn around very fast.
I certainly hope so.
Or Kool-Aid even. Get Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Man, I still love this guy named Kool-Aid.
All right. And then this one's pretty easy too. NFC West, San Francisco 49ers. I believe that it's interesting to see what happens with the roster coming up because, they have players obviously, get paid big money. And I feel like if the 49ers are able to win the Super Bowl or at least, be there pretty good standing, they're going to need to pay Brock Purdy somehow. You know what I mean? They're going to need to pay him at least more than what he's getting paid right now, which is less than $1 million.
Yeah. The benefits of having a mega cheap quarterback.
Yes, but also I think he needs to get paid well, but I also hope that there's not going to be this thing where, Brock Purdy goes in there into negotiations or his agent goes in negotiations and, because we've talked about this before that we're like, Brock Purdy is good, but he's not the entire team. You've got a lot of other good players there that are on the team as well that also deserve to be paid well, and maybe they're even more influential to the team than Purdy is himself. So what I'm saying is, yeah, Purdy needs to be paid fairly well, but he can't. I hope him and his agent don't go in there and basically be like, yo, 49ers, you got the money, like, pay me a Shohei Ohtani level contract. I want 700 million for the next 10 years. You know what I mean? No,
I don't think many
I
people
hope.
will understand your Shohei Ohtani reference. You might need a little background information for that one.
Oh, please. Yeah, you're probably right. At least for people who don't watch baseball. But I mean, let's just suffice it to say, Otani, it's the biggest contract in sports history right now. He's being paid 700 million for 10 years. Now, granted, he's helping his team stay competitive by deferring 680 million of that, of that contract until after the 10 years are up, which basically means at that point, well, okay, cool, it's time for Otani to be paid, sell the team.
Yeah,
But
basically.
what I'm saying, going back onto it, is Purdy, don't. I'm hoping that, yeah, he needs to get paid if they do well, and I still believe they'll be top contenders. I just hope he's not expecting a Joe Burrow, more related to football, a Joe Burrow or a Justin Herbert or an Aaron Rodgers level contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which, I mean, if you ask me, I still think all three of those players were massively overpaid, and they went into those negotiations saying, I want to be the biggest paid athlete in football.
And all three of those guys are hurt right now because they got all the money instead of capable O-lines.
Yep.
Last one here, NFC South. We have you saying the New Orleans Saints, and I say the Atlanta Falcons. I think it's the Falcons if they get a new coach and a better QB.
Yeah,
That's all
the
they
rumor mill
yeah.
is Arthur Smith might actually stay for another season.
Oh, so yeah, you might be right. Maybe it is the Saints, but the Saints, I don't believe they can be good if they
No.
keep their current coach
To,
and quarterback either.
to be fair, for the NFC South, I literally looked at all these teams and I was just like, I don't like any of these. I'm just gonna pick a number between 1 and 3, and because I'm not gonna count the Panthers on winning the division, I don't think Bryce
I
Young
don't
is the
know,
guy.
man. I feel like the Panthers have just as good of a chance as these other ones do next year.
Which is horrible to say. I mean, I personally don't feel like Bryce Young is the guy, and I think without their first round draft hits next year, I think that's why I'm keeping them off of my list for potentially winning it.
Yeah, okay.
I'm like, when you don't have a first round pick and what could have been grab the absolute best player available, which probably, if I were them, probably would have grabbed Marvin Harrison Jr., considering how they have 0 wide receivers. Grab Marvin
Uh,
Harrison Jr., now Bryce Young would have had a target that he could actually throw the ball to outside of an aging old Adam Thielen, and that team might have been on track, but with no first round picks and a lot of question marks, it's going to be a tough, tough time.
yeah, you are correct. I think we can just throw one out there like you said and be like, okay, cool, we'll see.
The NFC South is just throw it away, we don't care at this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
It was like the NFC East a few years ago when it was literally the Commanders went in as the representative with like a 6-11 record.
Or something close to it.
It was bad.
I think it was a 7-9 record.
It might have been a 7-9 or something. I just remember it was bad and everyone was disappointed.
Yep, still am, but so it goes.
Yep.
All
But
right,
with
man.
that,
That concludes it for tonight. We have some good matchups coming up here this week that will hopefully iron out the situation with both conferences here as far as who has a better shot at the last few playoff spots. We may see some clinched divisions here potentially. Um, Sunday Night Football might be good with Ravens and Jaguars potentially. Cowboys and Bills could be decent. Outside of that, nothing really too earth shattering here as far as like big matchups that I like. But
it'll be fun to watch the Cardinals get steamrolled by the 49ers.
how fun? Define your definition of fun, because now I'm concerned for you.
If you're a 49ers fan, you're gonna enjoy every single second of that. If you're a Cardinals fan, you're just gonna turn the TV off and not even look at it.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Oh, Broncos versus Lions will be a good matchup, I think.
Oh yeah, I would take that one. I would definitely watch that one.
That's a Saturday night game. Yeah, so you got a Saturday night that will be fun. You got a Sunday afternoon, a Sunday, 2 Sunday afternoons, and then a Sunday night, possibly.
Right? You got some ones that could be good.
Yeah,
For
like
sure.
four games, 3 different day or 4 games, 2 days, 3 different times.
Well, there you go.
But until then, we will see you all next time.
Have a good week, everyone.